Hey guys, so I have some issues with this HVAC panel here. I'll put the part number below, and I was going to order the part because on eBay they're relatively cheap, but I thought maybe I could fix it. So the driver's side rear heated seat works, the passenger side doesn't. Some of these other buttons were kind of non-functional, and this is used 100,000 miles on this thing. I don't think the buttons would wear out, but the previous owner may have gunked it up a little bit. There's a lot of hair and stuff throughout the vehicle, so I'm going to see if maybe I can fix some of the electrical contacts. So for taking this back plate off, it depends on which one you have. I believe if you have the row back seat, you don't have this cup holder. So it's literally just pulling the tabs off. If you have the captains, there's going to be two Phillips head screws that hold this back side in. So we'll have to remove those first. So I put both the driver and the passenger seat forward so I'd be able to put my hands. You'll see right here on the bottom there's a little space, and you can just kind of wiggle and boom. Okay, so the two things we're going to look at here are these screws on either side of the HVAC panel and these two wiring harnesses. To pull the wiring harnesses out, it's pretty easy. You're just going to take these blue tabs and pop them out, and then there's a tab on top right here that you're going to push down on both and just wiggle it out. Boom. That really frees us up to remove these 4 screws on either side, and then the panel just kind of wiggles out. Ta-da. So let's take this inside and see what we can do to fix it. Okay, so we want to pull this thing apart, and I was kind of looking at it. I don't see any screws holding it together. I do see some tabs here and here, likewise, but it's still kind of firm. So I'm thinking that these knobs probably act as a, I don't know, pseudo screw. So I'm gonna try to pull this off. And get these tabs pushed in, but I don't have the best lighting in here. I don't want to break anything. Yeah, I think you just kind of have to manhandle. Now, I believe this model is held together in the center with pins, sort of like if you work on computers, like a CPU would slot into the motherboard with pins, an old AMD or Intel. So you can't really just yank from this side and expect it to pull out. You kind of have to pull it out equally. So you need to be a little bit patient with one of these. There we go. So I put a little pressure with my index finger up, like towards me here, while I pushed down on those plastic tabs, and it seems to break. Oh, never mind. Well, while it broke free, this side went back down. So we'll try to do the same thing on this side. And you can see the pins I'm talking about, they slot into these holes down here. So, you know, pulling or bending one way or the other could be pretty catastrophic for this device. So just from looking at this immediately, I don't see any issues with circuitry, some discoloration, but we're gonna look at the buttons and see what we can find in between here. So we're gonna need to remove the screws. Looks like we have 5 screws here. Mine's already scratched up on the front, so if you're doing this at home and you have a nice clean example, I'd suggest putting it on a cloth or a piece of leather or something. But for me, it's really about just getting the buttons back to working. Alright, so that loosened the board up real good. So we're gonna just carefully, I'm not pulling on the pins here, I'm pulling on the plastic outside. I'm just gonna lift that up. Alright, so I don't want to set those down. Necessarily. Looks like we have some rubber contacts for the buttons. This looks pretty clean. The switches that I'm going to clean up are up here for the contact points. This is my passenger side rear heated seat. What I'm going to do is just take some alcohol and maybe an eraser or something non-cloth that won't rip or tear on the small contacts and just clean them up. For the buttons, it looks like, let me find a place to hopefully not fry that. Buttons are pretty dirty. Just run this under some water. I'll let it dry off for a couple hours and it'll look good as new. There's nothing seems to be wrong with the buttons that I see. You can pop them off. I read on a forum that they pop off, but they're kind of difficult and they go flying. So I don't think I need to do that. I'm gonna just clean that off. This right here is what touches the contacts when you push a button. So when you push one of those buttons, these go down and they touch these little round contact points. Now, unlike a Windows switch, these don't appear to have a metal inside. It's just a nice, looks like a little rubber black piece. I'm not sure if mine's making contact, but I'm gonna clean these up really well with some alcohol also. Just clean them up, dry them off, get them looking good. Same with the bottom tier here. I'm also going to clean the board off and anywhere, like, I don't really see a place to do it, but just in case, I'll look around, I'll trace it and see if there's anything I need to do. But I think a lot of this is just going to be cleaning because mine was pretty dirty. I'd just rather try this before buying a new one. But otherwise, it looks pretty good, so I'm not sure if we'll have the results we want, but why not? Alright, so I just finished cleaning up everything. If you wanted to watch that, there really wasn't much to it. It was just some alcohol and cleaning off these contact points. I didn't really see a point in doing the rest. I also wiped off these rubber switch, I don't know what they are, but these rubber pieces. So now I'm going to go ahead and see if I can put everything back together nicely. There's no real easy way to do it without sitting on the pins, so I'm going to just... I don't know what the best way, because I have to screw it back into this. So I'm guessing the best way is to, oh no, because the contacts have to go down. Maybe set it in there. No, that doesn't really make sense either. I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and set it down. There's no other way I'm really looking at it that works better. So you want to put these on, make sure that the LEDs are square in the center, and make sure that you're just nicely lining everything up. Same with the bottom ones. The round half circles obviously go around the screw holes. It's kind of difficult to line it up. I guess So I'm going to take it, hold it by the pins again. I know it sounds pretty terrible. Yeah, see, this one came out a little low. I'm just going to line everything up, set it back down. Put a little pressure on the board, but not much. And make sure that the buttons feel like they click and they're not just a squish. See, that one's... Those all feel pretty good. But I'm going to just double check my work here. Yeah, I guess that makes more sense, lining it up like that. Just ensuring it's pressed in nice. Yeah, those all have a nice feel to it. You can kind of secure it in with these until you get the screws in. Maybe. You're going to want to keep pressure on the back of the board while you're doing this so you don't... Maybe I'll just screw it in. But you do want to check the buttons again. If they get bound with that rubber thing, they'll be squishy and they won't act as a button. There's really no good way to do this with one hand while keeping pressure on the board. You don't want to screw these in very tight. If you've ever worked on a computer, literally just until they don't turn anymore. Because these boards are fragile and cracking that would be no fun. Once I get it tight, I'm going to put the knobs on and double check that the buttons still feel like they click. Let's see. That one's got a little play, but yeah, that should do it. Put your knobs back on. And then you're going to be careful, check your pins, make sure they're straight. Like I said, if you've ever worked on a computer, built a PC, you just want to make sure that those pins go in nice and evenly at the same time. And just push it down. All at once together until you hear that click. All right, let's go plug this in the Hummer and see if that fixed it. All right, so we're gonna plug this back in and test it. So it's just the same way it came out. You're gonna put this, make sure this blue part is pulled back, push it all the way until it clicks. Then the blue lock goes in. So again, all the way back, push it till it clicks, boom. So before we get everything put back together, let's make sure this actually worked. That's my camera lady here to turn the car on to accessory. All right, so before nothing really worked. And the heated seat, the light didn't even turn on. So nice, boom. Can we turn the fan around? Yep, temperature difference, look at that. Change all the seating positions. Very good. All right, so go ahead and cut that. Now we'll just put it back together. It's the same way it went, you know, I guess that can stay in. We're just gonna click this into, maybe. There we go. You have a lot less room when it's screwed in, or wired in. Give me a second here. There we go. The smart way to do this would have been to plug in the wiring harnesses after you screwed this in. Just for everybody watching, that's the way to do it. But I'm already committed. So. And then once you finish screwing it in, you just pop the tabs back in, push it back into place. I would clean it up if yours looks like mine. I plan on doing it when I'm done with the video. So that is pretty gross, but nonetheless, why don't you hop out and come show the front side. You're just gonna line it up, make sure it looks good, pop it in, and you can't forget your 2 screws down here, these large Phillips head screws. And just like that, hopefully you fixed your rear HVAC console. But if not, you at least know how to take it apart now and slap a new one in. I will put the part number for that in the description. They're pretty common. They're like 80 bucks, 100 bucks on eBay. And a new one's like 150 from AC Delco. So, boom. Just like that, you're finished. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. Like and subscribe if I helped you, and have a great day.